So it's been 3 weeks, so if I stumble on my words, that's why. So we finished the floor, as you can see. I'll give you a little detour, or a little tour in a minute. But a few things that we did that we thought worked really well, and then a few things that we did that did not work well and that you should not do. Wanted to go over those. So we used builder paper for a template instead of, a lot of people used cardboard, which just seemed way more tedious to cut. So we used builder paper, which you can just buy a roll at Lowe's or Home Depot. You'll end up with a lot more than you need, but it's like $11, so it's not bad. And then, here, I'm just gonna show you. We used 3 pieces of plywood instead of, and did it vertical instead of, horizontal instead of doing it vertical. So this is 1 piece, and the seam is here. And then this is 1 piece, and the seam is here. So we have this piece, ends there, this piece, ends there, and then this piece. And we did that for a reason. Let's see if I can. Okay, so we did that because that way the seam was not down the middle, so that we didn't have to use another 2x2 in the middle to reinforce the bottom of it, which made it a lot easier for us, and a lot easier with measurements and such. So we didn't have to worry about that. So we just went with our 2x2s this way, vertical through the van, and then we didn't have to worry about where the plywood was. We just made sure that our 3rd piece of plywood and our 2nd piece of plywood did not meet where the bed seam would meet, just in case, like the extra weight and stuff, because we just don't know what that's going to look like when we do that, so we wanted to make sure before we do that it's reinforced just in case. So those are some things we recommend to do because it just made it a lot easier. And when we did the template for the builder paper, we cut our plywood separately. We saw a lot of people taping together the builder paper and then laying it down on 3 plywoods and tracing it and then cutting it. We just went from the front of the van, traced that cardboard, and then cut out that plywood, made sure it fit, and then went with the builder paper for the 2nd part. Cut that out, laid down the plywood, cut that plywood out, made sure it fit, and then did it for the back of the van as well. And it just made it flow much easier, and by the time we got to the back here, it took us maybe 10 minutes to measure, and then we cut the plywood. One thing we did that I do not recommend, and like fully like just don't do this, we used PL 400 Subfloor as our adhesive, as our liquid nails, and it did dry, finally, but in the middle of using it, we read the back and it says it takes 2 to 7 days to dry, and we needed to put the plywood on the next day. So we ended up using like, I want to say like close to 200 pounds worth of stuff to put on the back of the van to make sure that it was actually going down. It's fine, but it took way longer than expected. And we're, based on our research, our understanding is that you want to use marine grade. So from here on out, with whatever type of liquid nail we need, it's going to be marine grade nails, marine grade liquid nails. So that's that, and that's our floor. Today is subfloor day, day 1, because it's going to take 2 days. So first thing, we're going to clean really well because it's dirty. Yep.
Tripp, come on. Come on, gotta get out. We got work to do. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Boy. Tripp, you're...
Bye! Beep beep!
Just start at the front. So we took the tie downs, there were 5 of them, out. Not realizing that the hole goes all the way through to underneath of the van and it's exposed. So what we're going to do is take the tie down off and then put the bolt back in the hole and seal it with waterproof sealant, and that'll then be underneath the plywood, so that'll keep any moisture from coming up inside. Some people actually use the holes for holding the plywood down. I don't think it's going to be necessary for our installation, but that's an option. Anyway. Gone.
But you kept the other one, or we returned it? So we already have to go get something? Not even think about. No! Fine! Stay out there. Don't come in. Alright, so we're gonna take this huge roll that we don't need and is such a waste to use it to measure the floor. Some people use cardboard, but apparently that's a pain, so we had this idea, so hopefully it works. I'll let you know.
Okay, here's my thought on the plywood. 48 inches wide, right? Which would give you a seam there.
And that's fine, even though the kitchen's going there?
Well, this is why I'm bringing this up. Otherwise, if we go lengthwise, you're gonna have a seam right down the middle of the van.
Which is where I'll be walking.
That's my thought. Is there'll be more pressure and stuff on that seam, so you'd have a seam here, right? Which by the time you get your cabinets and everything in, you know, really the seam's going to be about yay wide, and then your second seam is going to be under the bed.
Yeah.
So it's really just this little area here that would have a seam.
But as long as we have the 2x2 there, it doesn't really matter, right? We should put a 2x2 where the seam is. Oh wait, the 2x2s are, yeah, because we need some across, right?
Well, the 2x2s are going to go this way, and then we'll run some in between. So yeah, we'll be able to let it tie down.
Alright, well that seems fine then.
So that's why I think we need 3. We need 3 anyway, because they're not wide enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what's going to happen is... Alright, Danielle, so I'm going to cut this, make it easier to deal with. Because on the first one, we're just going to put... It's 48 inches wide, so that's going to help us with...
Oh, you're going to cut it because we're cutting... I get it, yeah.
Right?
So did you trace
and then
it?
we'll tape it together. I don't know, we need to tape it together. Well, yeah, you know what we do? Because then we'll lay the plywood on the ground. We can lay this on it, and then draw everything out on the plywood, the 3 pieces of plywood.
Yeah.
So then I think we keep it together.
Okay, so then we should just roll out another piece of paper.
Well, first we can either do that and move, slide it over there, or slide this one over there and start
Cutting out random pieces?
stenciling and figuring out what we need to cut.
Do you have a pen or a Sharpie? Or? So we're going to take 3 pieces of plywood and go long ways this way. So we took this, cut it 50 inches because each piece of plywood is 48 inches, and then taped it together in the right shape. The sun is not helping. So we had to cut right there and right here to make sure it was perfectly flush, not flush, with the sides. Same over here, and then we'll deal with the door little piece later. But we taped it to the sides to make sure that it didn't blow around while we were taping it together.
They'll dry out.
There's staples in these, is that fine?
No, I'm gonna get those out. That's what those pliers are for that were down on the floor. And you gotta make sure the staples don't end up in the driveway.
Probably want to go back on this side.
The result of that cut. Appears to be a little short. Measure twice, cut once.
I did measure! Yeah. Didn't fit up front, but it fits perfectly flush here. Joke's on you, corner. We are done with the framing of the subfloor. So let me explain what we did. So we put this one close to the door. This is about as close as it can go with that, and then obviously this. We cut out a few here to make sure that when the plywood goes on, it's not just hanging down. It's not like we have to drill anything in there probably, but just makes sure it's extra secure. And then we had to cut these to fit perfectly between the door frame and the other 2x4s. We made sure that we added a few in over here as well, just because we are going to probably put something here, so that makes it easier to drill in there. So we had to measure each of these. There's a little crooked part here, so we just, close enough there. And then over here, we just made sure it was close to the door. And there you have it. Subframing. Darn it, subfloor framing. That. Day 2. Basically, this one did not dry. It's been about 18 hours, so we're just gonna hold this on here while we insulate the rest of the van.
Yeah.
There's a few up here that also didn't dry. Not totally sure why. Like, that guy's just not even on. So we're gonna hope for the best and see how the rest of the day goes. Alright, little update. Before we lay down the insulation, we have to take our sound deadening. We got the kill mat. I searched rat mat, rattle trap, something like that, but it's just kill mat sound deadening. It was the cheapest one and had like 6,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. So that's what we went with. We're gonna put them on the wheel wells before we put the insulation in, or else it wouldn't be fully on the wheel wells, which is probably the noisiest part of the van. And then later we'll go around and do it to the rest of the van as well. So this is the first step of the day. Alright, so we measured in between each of, well, one so far, of the slats on the far left, and we're going to cut it the width so that it just slides right in there, and then do that for the rest of the time.
What kind of insulation are you using?
Havelock wool insulation. It's on back order currently, so if you're going to order it, it's going to take like 2 months. Want to zoom in?
To show you cutting? Ooh,
Yeah.
look at those skills.
Okay. Ba-ba!
How's it fit?
Lovely. True helper over here. Hi, buddy.
This is the door.
Yeah.
So we want this hard edge to be the top. We want that to line up on the edge.
back?
Hang on, pull it back a little bit.
What's the issue?
I think that should be.
Yeah, I mean it is up here. If you push that corner, then this would move in correctly. Then this part would move in correctly. Alright, the insulation is completely down. We're still letting some of these dry a little bit for some reason. They're still not fully secure, so we're using those bricks for that. We have our first board in, just using pavers to make sure it's really in. And now we're about to cut our second piece of plywood. We're going one here, and one here. We want to make sure that it wasn't ending on any of these middle pieces, and then where these are, is where the long 2x2s ended, and we had to cut a smaller part of the 2x2, and they go straight across right there, so we don't want the second board to end there because it won't be as sturdy. So we're gonna end more like here and then use the third one. So that's what we're gonna measure our template now.
You gotta go above the wheel. Come back this way. There we go. What the hell? Turn yours out.
Are you kidding?
I pick the back up. Pick the back up and we can angle it in from the front first. Pick it up. Pick it all the way up. A little more.
Ah.
Push it.
Whew, okay. Yep. You're standing right in front of the camera. You're still in front of the camera. You're still in front of the camera. What are you doing?
Checking voicemails and stuff, trying to stay busy.